Hi everyone and good evening from Kyiv. My name is Andrii Palamarchuk and I'm medical doctor, especially doctor of rehabilitation medicine, neurologist, and head of physiology department, Kyiv Medical University. Building of this clinical and research background, I co-founded the Kyiv Institute of Rehabilitation clinic in 2021, where I currently serve as medical director. However, in 2022, all of our professional goals were destroyed by a Russian invasion in Ukraine. And so a small clinic with the bold, ambitious name restarted its journey in May 2022. Completely rebuilt and reimagined, we emerged with the new mission to provide outpatient medical rehabilitation for wounded people. What began with just 3 volunteers has grown into the mission-driven institution. For over 4 years, we have provided free clinical rehabilitation to those in need, entirely independent of the government subsidies. We have come a long way on our own in a very short time, and our journey continues. Today, with my team, we'll begin our podcast diving deep into the intricate world of clinical rehabilitation. First of all, whether you are a healthcare professional, student, or someone navigating the recovery process, this space is dedicated to practice and the science of restoring function. Regarding podcast name, sometimes in clinic, the sheer volume of patient created the continuous buzz into open space, and we began calling this atmosphere like the Radio Rehabilitación, inspired by the animated, expressive nature of Spanish radio, reflecting the constant communication that became a part of healing process. Over the 14 episodes of our first season, we plan to share our ongoing efforts and key achievements with you. If there is the continued interest and need, we will extend our coverage accordingly. Secondly, about the dream. Through our years of clinical work with the post-stroke, wounded trauma patients, I have consistently envisioned a full-cycle rehabilitation space, a seamless ecosystem encompassing both inpatient, outpatient care, and educational space. Unfortunately, despite our relentless efforts over the last 2 years, practical implementation remained out of reach. Today, my team and I have a comprehensive, theoretical grounded blueprint for this facility. The only remaining barrier is funding. Through this podcast, I aim to bridge that gap. My goal is to raise the necessary capital for build a premier teaching and practical rehabilitation hospital, a full psych facility with a total project budget of $2 million. And here is how you can support us. Over the years of the providing care during the war in Ukraine, I have built partnership with people who have proven their integrity through a consistent real-world action. I'm talking about the Australian-based charity foundation United Ukraine Appeal. For 3 years, they have stood by us, and it's only because of this deep-seated trust and their impeccable official status of transparency with their jurisdictions that I feel morally improved to voice with Dream today. Even though I'm on the ground here in Ukraine, I ask you to direct all your support and donation for the rehabilitation hospital through United Ukraine Appeal. This ensures that every contribution is handled with the highest standards of international accountability as we build this future together. This project is natural scaling of the model that is already working, and with your support we can bring this level of care to thousands more in Ukraine. I'm a big believer this isn't just a clinic, it's a future for medical rehabilitation. Thirdly, mission. There is a growing concern that we must address due to the immense demand for medical, physical, and psychological rehabilitation in Ukraine. This field has shifted from being critically needed to becoming dangerously populist. We are witnessing explosion of new centers, but unfortunately, rapid growth doesn't always equate to quality. I've seen this firsthand. When the sheer volume of patients overwhelms the system, it becomes impossible to achieve optimal results through a truly integrated, individualized rehabilitation program. But the most alarming issue is the lack of qualified expertise. Every day, more people associate themselves with rehabilitation, some even taking leadership role in healthcare without fundamental understanding of what clinical medical rehabilitation truly entails. The reality we are faced off is that our medical education system was simply not prepared for the challenge of this magnitude. Literally, there is a critical lack of time to train sufficient number of qualified doctors, let alone qualitatively overhaul the specialization programs required for modern trauma care. This dilution is professional standards as strategic threat to the future of medicine in our country. Through this podcast, my goal is threefold: expose the systemic gaps, the openly disclosure the fundamental challenges without the current organizational of medical rehabilitation, moving beyond the surface level rhetoric, innovate through dialogue, to foster high-level discussions that identify modern science-driven pathway for integrating rehabilitation into the broader healthcare system, whether you are a clinician, researcher, or health policy rehabilitation expert. Your voice matters. Please write to my mailbox with a short resume or brief introduction of your work. I would be happy to discuss the intricate professional issues of medical rehabilitation with you and perhaps feature your expertise together in upcoming episode. My contact information in the show notes below to provide donors and investors with the clear, unfiltered view of the landscape in Ukraine. I want to ensure that your contributions and business interests are directed toward genuine clinical progress, helping you distinguish between authentic medical development and fake or populist initiatives. And today, I want to address fundamental questions that is often misunderstood even with the medical community. What is the true difference between treatment and rehabilitation? And its core, treatment is about the what. It's a reactive process aimed at eliminating the cause of illness or stabilizing an acute condition. The goal is simple: to save the life and fix the pathology, being the infection, fracture, or wound. Transform pathological process into a physiological one. In treatment, the physician is a primary actor and the patient is often the recipient of care. However, rehabilitation is a proactive process focused on restoring human functions. We aren't just looking at the injury, we are looking at the person behind the injury. The goal here isn't just to fix an organ, but to empower that individual to regain their independence, their profession, and their dignity. But here is the catch. Rehabilitation is not a post-hospital intervention. It's continuous medical necessity where treatment and rehabilitation happen simultaneously. Because during the recovery process, we must constantly manage pain, control spasticity, and monitor cardiovascular health, safety, and preventions. During physical exertion in rehab, we must manage blood pressure, heart rate, tissue integrity. Without active medical oversight, which is treatment, rehabilitation becomes not only ineffective but potentially hazardous. In modern clinical practice, we don't wait. We follow the principle of early rehabilitation. It starts in the intensive care unit the moment a patient is stable. It's not a hand off the baton. It's a shift in proportion. It may start as 90% surgery and 10% movement, but as the body heals, those roles reverse until the patient is fully leading their own recovery. We talk a lot about the early rehabilitation, but the reality is that the start date of the patient recovering is directly linked to the doctor's arsenal. The more diverse and specialized the tools at your disposal, from advanced robotics and functional electrical stimulation to early mobilization techniques and neurorehabilitation protocols, the sooner you can intervene. In a professional settings, we don't just use one approach, we use a multidisciplinary toolbox. When a rehabilitation doctor or physical therapist has a vast range of tools, they aren't just waiting for the patient to heal. They are actively managing the patient recovery trajectory, constantly shifting the balance from medical treatment to functional rehabilitation. The main nuance in this limiting toolkit forces doctors to follow a standard, often slow timeline. A rich arsenal allows for a personalized, rapid response. In conclusion, it's vital to understand that treatment and rehabilitation are never in opposition. They are two sides of the same coin, a single, unified clinical process. There is no such thing as a full-fledged treatment without early and extended rehabilitation, just as there is no safe rehabilitation without the medical oversight. The only thing that changes in the ratio between them at different stage of care. The danger today lies is ignorance. When people fail to grasp this synergy, they begin to confuse medical rehabilitation with the mere physical therapy or general fitness training conducted outside the medical institution. This misconception is not a semantic error. It brings chaos to the management of the personal health, breaking the clinical chain and stalling the recovery of those who need it most. Our mission to replace this chaos with a structured, science-based, and human-centered medical standard. Understanding this distinction is the first step toward building the high-quality professional standards that Ukraine needs today. If you found today's insights valuable, please subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform. Leaving a review helps our mission reach a global audience. Share this episode with your network. Thank you for your trust, your time, and your contribution. I'm Andrii Palamarchuk, and see you in the next episode.